the power of suggestion. This is very powerful because most people don't really listen. See, this is always the problem. People hear, but they don't really focus. They don't really pay attention. And so they will just hear part of the message. Whatever is being said, they're only going to hear a part of it. And so whatever they hear, they're going to pass that on and then they're going to add something to it. That's called embellishing. They're going to add something onto it that wasn't even spoken, but in their minds, they heard it because it's their opinion. So they hear a small part of a message, they don't hear the complete message, and then they throw their own opinion on there subconsciously, and then they spread it around. And then the next person does the same thing. So when this message has gone down 10 people, it's changed 10 times. And a lot of people are going to accept this as the truth. Most people don't really pay attention when they're listening to something. And people will add their own idea from their own opinions. And then next thing you know is they created something, and it's like a Frankenstein. Yeah, everybody adds something to it. And it's like a monster. And it gets the job done. Power of suggestion is very, very powerful thing. It can be used in a healthy way, though. See, that's the interesting thing about this power of suggestion. It can also be used in a healthy way, but most people use it in an unhealthy way. That is the problem. So the first thing that comes to my mind is when people do this regression therapy, where they're trying to find out why is their behavior a certain way. And so they get a hypnotist who's supposed to be trained to do this, to take you back to when you're a child and try to find a scene in that person's life and to try to describe what's going on, what's happening, to see if maybe there's something there. Because remember, as a child, when you have a memory, lots of times when you're much older and you look back at it, you see things you didn't see before. So you think to yourself, geez, why did I make that decision? Why did I choose to do that? Because now you know more. But back then you didn't. So you didn't make a good decision back then. Do you see? Because now you know more. Today you know more than you did several years ago. Well, that's the hope anyway. So because of that, these therapists, they try to use the same principle under hypnosis by getting you to think of something, and they might say something like, make a safe place. So if something is disturbing, go to that safe place and it will not bother you. You know, they do things like this. And so they try to find an incident that may have influenced this behavior pattern as an adult, which is hurting themselves somehow. This is really dangerous because when a person is in such a relaxed state, they're open to anything. They're open to whatever. And many times when a person is in this hypnotized state, that if you say something to that person, they're going to visualize it. Because, see, the mind is incredibly powerful. So they will see whatever it is that you suggest. And they're going to interpret that as real. This is what's known as false memories, where the therapist creates a scene and this person under hypnosis creates that scene in their mind and puts it in the same location as their childhood memories. And so as a result, this hypnotized person thinks this really happened. And it didn't. But they can't tell the difference. That's the danger. Some of you might remember back in the later 1970s, there was a lady who went into this regression therapy, and her therapist was a woman. And the patient was trying to figure out, why does she have this certain whatever, or some kind of a habit. And she was trying to get to the root of it. And this lady therapist, who also knows how to hypnotize people, when she put her under hypnosis, she created scenes. The therapist would say, "Can you describe to me what you're seeing? And please try to be as much in detail as you can." So she would describe the house that she grew up in when she was a little girl. And the therapist started to say things like, "Is your father there? Look around," she said. "Maybe your father's there." So she would look around and she'd say, "Oh yes, there's, see, now she's responding to the power of suggestion." So the girl said, "Oh yes, my father is here." And then so that's where the therapist broke the line. That's where this becomes unethical. That's where she crossed the boundary. The therapist crossed the boundary because now the therapist is influencing something to happen that never happened in this girl's childhood. And the result was she accused her father of molesting her. So the therapist contacted the authorities, and they started interviewing her father, and he was detained for a while under suspicion of molesting his daughter when she was a little girl. The girl and her therapist took the girl's father to court. They sued him in court. And this therapist was using these recordings that she made, the girl being hypnotized, as evidence. At first, looks like they were going to find the father guilty. So right away, some more experienced therapists came in and they accused this lady therapist of inducing false memory. So they had to teach the jurors what false memories are and how this can be accomplished. And that's what saved that man. So the jurors found him not guilty, but the damage was done. And to this day, the girl, she's probably in her 60s now. And I think her parents are dead now. But to this day, she still believes her father molested her. See, this is what false memories do. They act like real memories. They feel very real. So this is how powerful the mind is. And when you don't know what you're doing, or maybe you do know what you're doing, but you're going to take advantage of the situation, then that's evil, because you're playing with somebody's mind. So when a person is in this hypnotic state, it's very easy to influence them to create false memories. These are memories of incidents that never, ever happened, but they feel real. They really feel like they really did happen. And like I said, this lady, she still believes that her father molested her. And he went to his grave saying he never did. So they lost their daughter when she was 23 years old. They lost her because of the therapist putting false memories in their daughter's head. It was a huge court case. I was listening to the news and I was like, holy, false memories. Didn't even know about that. So the power of suggestion is very powerful. And like I said, most people seem to want to use it in an unhealthy way. This is not a respectful thing to do. So that's why we need to know about these kind of things. Because something that we need to learn is that as we're living our lives, we always learn what we should do, what we need to do, what could be helpful. But we also need to learn what not to do. We also need to learn how not to do something. This way, we're looking at the full picture. If you just say, well, I'm going to learn how to do this and that should be enough, then you're not really living your life completely. It's very important to learn how not to do something because it gives you more confidence, believe it or not. And you become patient. You become more compassionate because you learn that mistakes are not failures unless you decide not to learn from it. Then it is a failure. So it's up to you. So when something goes wrong, yeah, we get mad, we get scared, maybe we get sad, and that's okay. That's just the initial reaction. So it's okay to feel those things. But we really should do something constructive to release it. Then we bring in our minds, and then we start to talk about it. Then we start learning about it. We start making the best of it. The next thing you know, it turns into a blessing. When you learn to do this more and more, you stop seeing things as good versus evil. And you realize that when you categorize everything into good and bad, that really limits your view of reality. So that same thought process of making the most out of a situation, learning from it as much as you can, that same process is reflected in learning how not to do something. And that includes learning how deception works so that we can use that knowledge in protecting ourselves, in teaching one another, in showing each other how to live, supporting one another. And whenever you learn, that's a good thing. As long as the underlying thought is of compassion or to help others. This is a beautiful thing. This really is a wonderful planet with bananas. I had Chinese food earlier, and this restaurant has fried bananas with honey. Yeah, gee, that's good stuff. Oh gosh. To really enjoy this planet and to help one another and to really see the full potential of our lives. This includes learning how not to do something. And part of that is about learning how deception works. It's the person, how they live their lives is what decides if they're healthy or not. How do they communicate? It's not the skin color, it's not their culture, it's not the language, it's how a person lives and how they communicate. And communication includes learning from difficulty. So that's really the big thing there. The power of suggestion. There's ways you can do this in a healthy way. Like when you're trying to live a healthier life, there's things you can do. One thing that I suggest learning a Lakota expression, and that expression was betu kile lila washtekte. That last word, kte, that's a future tense word. Usually women say kte and men say ktelo. But everything else in that expression is the same. Betu kile lila washte. That's the same for both men and women. This expression means today will be a good day. When you wake up, and look at that, I'm getting tired. When you wake up, I'm adding my own sound effects. No, when you wake up, you can say this expression. Or for men can say Ampetukile means today. That's actually 3 words. Ampetu is day, ki is like a the, and le is this. So it's day the this. But when you put it all together, it means today. Ampetukile. Or some people will say leampetuki. That's fine too. That's nothing wrong with that. But I like to say ampetukile. That's what I heard most of the time growing up. Ampetukile. Lila means really or very. And washte means good. Now, some people say washte. That's wrong. We do not have the A sound. It's washte. So washte means good. And then kte is the future tense for women, and ktelo is the future tense for men. Kte, that's a K-T-E. Kte. Lakota has 4 T sounds. There's like the T in take, and then there's a T that's a little bit harder, and that's like in this word, kte. It's hard. Da, da, da. It's almost like a D, but not quite. It can't be a D because in Lakota, there's no D sound. In the Lakota language, we do not have a D sound. So they wouldn't say David, they would say David. It would come out different. So you could say Ampetukile lila washte. And then if you're a woman, you say kte. If you're a man, you say ktelo. If you are a man. Better double check. Some men think they're men, but I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, gosh. So women will say, Ampetukile lila washtekte. And then men would say, Ampetukile lila washtekte lo. So one thing you could do as soon as you wake up is say this expression. Say the expression right away and think about that for a while. Then go wash up, brush your teeth, and blow your nose, and take a shower, and comb your hair, whatever you have to do. What you're doing is you're giving yourself a motivation. The motivation is in the expression, and it works by the power of suggestion. Maybe you end up having a goofy day. You put on your nylon stockings, and just when you're going out the house, you rip them, yeah. And then as you turn around to go back in your house, you realize you left your keys in the house. So now you're locked out of the house. So keep saying that expression, yeah. It helps, yeah. It does help. Sometimes that happens, yeah. So you just try to make the best of it as you can. But the thing is, it's going to influence you. Even if you're having a manic day, it's still going to influence you. Even if you're having a manic day, a day where it feels like you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, as they say, this expression can still influence things because it has the power of suggestion in it. By using the future tense, kte and kte lo for men, it's using power of suggestion. See, this is a healthy way that you can use power of suggestion. Another thing that I tell some of my students who are really into the spirituality is to make a medicine wheel. And I instruct them how to do that. And then they learn what that represents. The 4 parts of the self, the 4 parts of creation, the 4 basic developments, 4 parts of the mind, 4 parts of the soul, the 4 basic emotions. It represents many, many things. But what it does not represent is races of people. It doesn't represent skin color, not at all. To have something that means something to you, something that's special, that helps you, it represents something that makes you feel good. What is really special to you? Tell me something that happened where you really learned something, where it just changed your life. It's something that you really makes you feel good. Then make a representation of that. Whether it's a drawing or carve something or whatever, make a representation of that and always carry it with you. So when you wake up, look at it. Then when you say, Ampetuki le lila washtekte, or ktelo for men, really embrace this item, whatever it is. Maybe you can make a medicine wheel and tie them together, attach them together, and hold that, and really think about things. Ampetuki le lila washtekte, Ampetuki le lila washtektelo. And just say that. And some people will say it 4 times because the number 4 is a sacred number in Lakota. So they'll say it 4 times. Yeah, they'll say that 4 times. That's how they start their day. Power of suggestion. Used in a healthy way. So when something goes wrong, they don't freak out because they started their day out in a good note, in a good way. It doesn't mean your day is going to be just smooth sailing. No, 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 no. What it's doing is it's putting you on a foundation so that when you go over a bump or something, You say, oh, okay. Then and then you say, okay, let's look at this situation. What the heck just happened here? See, you have a foundation and you're able to deal with whatever obstacles come. So even if you have a rugged day, you're still prepared in a healthy foundation. And that means your rugged day will be less rugged because you prepared yourself. That's the power of suggestion being used in a healthy way. You can do that. You have that power. So do it. What do you have to lose? Absolutely nothing. What do you have to gain? Absolutely everything. The choice is yours. Yeah? Good.
这个谁了？我们养个有害，我看见了，有下火也我也落海，mi ta ku ye ob wa ni te lo he ya ho ye wa ye lo hai 这个谁了？我们养个有害，我看见了，有下火也我也落海。mi ta ku ye ob wa ni te lo he ya ho ye wa ye lo hai 这个谁了？我们养个有害，我看见了，有下火也我也落海。mi ta ku ye ob wa ni te lo he ya ho ye wa ye lo hai 这个谁了？我们养个有害，我看见了，有下火也我也落海。mi ta ku ye ob wa ni te lo he ya ho ye wa ye lo hai To read more about Lakota Star Knowledge spirituality, you can read my book called Wichocha Otechike. You can see the book cover on the right side of this screen. This book contains the information to what I talk about on my Lakota spirituality videos. To purchase this book, please click below where it says Show More. Clicking on that link will open up the description below, and there you will see a link called To Purchase My Books. As you will see, it's an eBay link. Click on that eBay link, and there you will see the information to get this book. Lila Pilamayelo. Thank you very much.